You have to imagine a top spinning along the ground. The faster it is, it's standing straight up. It's symmetrical. That's a Category 5 hurricane. But as it begins to slow down or decrease in intensity, it'll start to warble. It moves a lot. And that really determines how rough a flight you're going to have. Well, I got my degree in meteorology from Florida State University. Did weather for active duty military for about 5 years, and then became an Airforce Reserve hurricane hunter. I have over 1,000 hours flying in the WC-130H and J. Every storm is different. Every storm has a personality. I think that's part of the reason why they give them different names. The way I look at it, if you fly through the eye of a hurricane and don't believe in God at that point, I don't see how you can afterwards. Let's say you go to a doctor and you have a tumor, some growth inside your body. You want to know what it is. You're concerned. Is it dangerous or is it not? So you go to the doctor, they take an x-ray. What is an x-ray going to tell you? It's going to tell you you got a tumor. But is it cancerous? Is it malignant? Is it just a cyst? You don't know. The only thing a doctor can do to find out is to take a biopsy. We're doing the same thing inside of a hurricane because we're the biopsy of that storm. We can give you that sample that tell our experts at the Hurricane Center what the storm is, what it's going to do. It gives you the complete sample of that hurricane. They're critical decisions our leaders have to make, whether they're evacuating personnel, our aircraft to different locations, depend heavily on the reserve citizen airmen and their collection of data that makes that forecast more reliable. How important is weather to the overall Air Force mission? How important is weather to the overall Department of Defense mission? Maybe one battle, one war, that weather didn't play a part. Anything else?
Can you give Mom a big hug for me? Sure. I'm not Mom. There. Ever since I was a small boy, I always wanted to be an Air Force pilot. And my father was in the military. He was 2 years in the Army, so he had always told me about it. Hey, son, the service is whatever you make of it. So, and that's exactly what I did. I can remember when I was a youngster, there was a documentary that they did on the hurricane hunters. I can remember seeing the pilots walk through the doors, and it said, through these doors walk the world-famous hurricane hunters. As I progressed through my Air Force career, it took me quite some time to work towards the hurricane hunters and be a part of that squad.
Checking a few things here before we put power on the aircraft.
But I've always wanted to do it.
Stuff like that. Turn the lights on.
I've been blessed. I've been in the Air Force now for 24 years. I've been with the hurricane hunters for 13 years.
Everything looks good here.
This will be my 13th year actively flying storms with the squadron.
It'll be very exhausting.
I was the first crew to fly Katrina, okay? Myself and Scott Salmon, and we went out there. It was just a big area of low pressure. Second time we flew it, it was over the Caribbean, and it was getting its act together. It was starting to gin up. Third time we flew it, it was a Category 1 hurricane over the Florida Keys. We landed back in Biloxi real early in the morning, went to bed, woke up about probably 2 o'clock in the afternoon. First thing I did was turn on the TV, and it was all over the news. I was really, really uptight. I mean, I was really stressed out because I had been through multiple hurricanes.
They have made desperate calls to 911 asking for help, asking for rescue. But
Andrew in Louisiana, I went to college there when it came across Florida in '92. Ivan in Florida. So I've been there many times. So I was very uptight.
He saw sailboats sailing alone up city streets.
My wife's saying, I don't know, what the problem is. She goes, honey, she goes, it's a big town, Biloxi, we're gonna get power, we're gonna have gasoline. I'm like, no, you don't understand. This is gonna be bad.
Just continue to get words.
We came back 2 days later at the house. We pulled in, and I knew it was bad, because there was roof shingles all in the front yard. So I'm like, this is not gonna be good. I've got my work cut out for me. The winds took off the south side of the roof. When that happened, rainfall came in because there was a tremendous amount of rain after the hurricane, as there is with everyone. So all of the drywall got wet in the ceilings, everything fell, the blown-in insulation, it was all over the floor. It was a mess. That back half of the house was really, really in bad shape. It was tough getting through it.
It's losing it rapidly because
It was. I'm not going to kid you. When you're out of power for 2 weeks, you're living together, I mean, it starts to wear on you. I mean, that 12th, 13th day, we're like, all right, enough is enough. We're ready to get some power back.
Because there's that old frontal boundary that
power coming back on makes it a lot easier on everybody. But, you know, we looked at each other and basically said, if we can get through this, we can get through anything. Katrina is definitely the benchmark. Used to be Camille on the coast. Camille is the reason why so many people died on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, because it gave everyone that false sense of security as to, hey, the water's not going to rise that high. And those homes that made it through Camille, well, those houses didn't make it through Katrina. A lot of them didn't. The warnings had been put out, partly because of what we do as hurricane hunters. We went out, we risked our lives to get this information from the inside of a hurricane, to build these forecast models, and yet people still don't listen. That's the personal side of it that I take from it. That's what I take personally. I'm risking my life away from my family, and then yet everybody else wants to stay on ground zero and risk their own family's lives because they're not listening to what the experts in the field have had to say. That's the tough part that's there for me to swallow. I have a hard time with that. The more intense storms we get, Katrina, Sandy, things like that, people are starting to listen. They're educating themselves from it. So the word's out there. The power of the media today, it's a lot better than it was back in the 60s when Camille hit. So we're doing our job. You guys are doing your job. The word's getting out there. So that makes me feel a lot better today. Just like Chuck Yeager once said, everything I am, I owe it to the United States Air Force. And, you know, I started out flying in special operations, and you know, I've been here ever since with the Hurricane Hunters, and it has truly been a great time. And I look forward to the rest of my career staying right here in the squadron.
What's fuel saying now? Put that in there again. No, it's not going to be accurate because our speed is not going to be here. Thanks. Oh, shit, yeah. What? A lot of shit happened on this side. When you say, oh shit, that scares the hell out of me in the helicopter. Sorry. Talking about all the devastation on the ground. You've seen one house torn apart, you've seen them all. You're right though, man. There's a lot of damage over here. There's nothing blocking it coming from this side. Yeah.
Remember earlier.